Mother, tell your children not to walk my way.
Hello everybody, and welcome to this question and answer with me, Truthslayer. I'm going to try to make this, I've said this before, I'm going to try to make this about once a week now, just because, you know, I'm not getting as many good questions as I once was, so there's no really need to do it daily. That's one of the reasons why I don't do it as much as I can. That, and I'm busy with lots of stuff at the moment where I wasn't when I first got on YouTube. Also, I am going to try to make this every Tuesday or Tuesday night, so most of you probably won't see it until Wednesday morning. But simply because that's when I would like to do it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. We're coming up on the holiday season starting next week with Thanksgiving. I work retail. For those of you that know, yes, my hell is about to start and will not end until after freaking New Year's. So there we go with that. So, but anyways, let's get started. As always, if you have something you want me to comment on or a question, send it my way either via comment on this video or just send me a message on YouTube. Only thing I ask, keep it to one question per person, or try to your best to keep it to one question per person, please. Thank you very much. Well, let's get going. Hey, Truthslayer, have you seen Joe Vs Misawa yet? And if so, what did you make of it? Yes, I have seen it. I saw it the day it got loaded up. Everyone was looking very forward to this match. Did it live up to the hype? No. Mainly because this was not in front of an ROH crowd, which it needed to kind of be. It was in front of a Noah crowd, which, you know, Joe's not that much known in Japan. Still, I thought it was a good match. I didn't think it was great. Joe pretty much dragged Misawa to probably at that point his best title defense, in my opinion. If someone's seen another one, I haven't seen all of his defenses from this year, Misawa's that is, so I don't know if there is a better one, but I would say from what I've seen, this was his best title defense. I would say I'd put this at 3 stars. Myself, did it live up to the hype? No, it needed to be in front of a ROH crowd. I think that would have woken Misawa up a little bit. Misawa was being a bit lazy, but they did go out there, they did do some good stuff, and it was enjoyable, and I did like it. So there is my thoughts on it. So there we go. Next question. With Jericho's return all but imminent, I was curious, do you remember how long the countdown to the Millennium promos ran, and did fans, or anyone else for that matter, know that it was Jericho coming that night? Okay, most people knew it was supposed to be Jericho, but everyone was still kind of like, is it going to be Jericho? 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 As far as as long as the promos ran, I think they ran about a month. They may have ran about a month and a half. I can't really remember on that. I do know it was a fairly long period of time. That said, if you notice, if you've ever seen when he came, there is this pause. When the music goes off and before his music starts and before Jericho comes up on the screen, there is a pause because people were like, it better be freaking Jericho. And then it was Jericho. Everyone popped. The rest is history. Good stuff. There you go. Hey man, I had a question. Do you think TNA would be better off with a 4-sided ring? Because me and a lot of my friends hate the 6-sided ring, and I know we're not the only ones. I, for one, think they should keep the 6-sided ring. I've said this before. I think it's one of the things that TNA does that gives them somewhat of a uniqueness that they do need. So I would say keep it, and I don't mind it that much. So there you go. Hey, Truthslayer, don't you think it is unfair to compare Wrestlemania to Bound for Glory? Wrestlemania had over 80,000 fans in attendance, give or take, and Bound for Glory could not sell out a 5,000-seat arena. Actually, it was a 10,000-seat arena, to be precise, and they had 5,000. I think they had about 5,000 people there. The reason I say that it's because WrestleMania had all the history and all the great legends behind it, while TNA has only been around for 5 years. I think it's fair to compare current WrestleManias with past ones, but you can't really compare the atmosphere to Bound for Glory with Mania. The thing is Bound for Glory is TNA's, you know, big event of the year. They always say it's their biggest event of the year. WrestleMania is their biggest event of the year. It's kind of like how WCW always said Starrcade was their biggest event of the year, and so people usually compared Starrcade with WrestleMania, even though in my mind, particularly early WCW, Jim Crockett, Great American Bash was always, in my opinion, the bigger event, bigger than Starrcade, in my opinion. At least the tour always seemed to be bigger. Those of you that remember the Starrcade and Great American Bash tours know what I'm talking about. But anyways, so I think it's a fair comparison in that way because they are the 2 biggest events, so you do kind of compare the two. So there you go. Do you think Booker T will be a big hit in TNA? I think he's going to do very well in TNA, just from his intro when he came in. He was very over. He looked happy, which I was glad to see. I'm not so keen on him feuding with Christian like it's going to look like he's doing, but I don't really mind it. Booker, I am a big fan of Booker. Always have been. I loved Harlem Heat back in the day. I followed him pretty much since his early days here in Houston. So I'm always a big fan of his, and I think he will do good. And I think he's the type of guy TNA actually needs, because I think people will turn in to see Booker. Unlike, I think people weren't necessarily going to turn in to see Angle. I always kind of felt that way, or Christian. So there you go. Hey, Truthslayer, we're coming up on the 10-year anniversary of the Montreal Screwjob. I have heard Brett's, HBK's, Triple H, McMahon's, Foley's, Undertaker's, Big Show's, and even Hogan's opinions on who was right. I would like to know whose side you were on, Bret Hart or the WWE. Personally, I side with WWE, and here's why. Bret should have done the job. I've said this before. I always say this. Bret should have done the job. He should have been the bigger man. He should have walked out there, let Shawn Michaels beat him. Oh well, he can. No one would be upset if Bret Hart lost, to be completely honest. And I think he hurt his credibility with a lot of fans and everything that happened. I think he came out worse. I think he came off damaged goods when he went to WCW. I don't think it was just the way WCW used him. I think he did come off a bit more damaged than Vince McMahon did, where Vince McMahon spun it into the Mr. McMahon persona, and which, is one of the best heels of all time in wrestling. So there you go. What did you think of WCW during the Bill Watts era? I liked the Bill Watts era. It had its flaws, of course. It was too much, old school stuff. It wasn't looking to the future. It wasn't doing a lot of the stuff that probably needed to happen. But it was, what it was. So there you go. I thought, overall, I thought it was good. It was better than what had been before. I will say this, but it probably still wasn't all that great. What is your favorite WCW Cruiserweight match? Mine is Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio from Halloween Havoc 97. Mine is Rey Mysterio versus Psychosis from Great American Bash. I think it's, Great American Bash. Is it Great American Bash or Bash of the Beach? 96. Can't remember which one of those two, but it's from 96. So July of 96. I know it was from July, so I'm thinking it was Great American Bash. So there we go. Hey Truth, I really want to get some Kobashi Misawa compilation DVDs. Do you know or can you recommend any good ones? I've looked on High Spots and they have a decent Misawa Road to the Triple Threat one. Just wondered if you knew of this and any others that were good. Thanks. The Misawa one that High Spots sells is very clipped, so I would not recommend that one. I'm asking this, the reason why I posted this question is because I've also been looking for a lot of Misawa Kobashi DVDs, compilation DVDs, and I haven't really found any that weren't heavily clipped. I know IVP has a few, but I don't know which ones are clipped and which ones aren't, so I would say check IVP videos out. For any, also Puro DVD, I would check that out as well. If anybody listening to the video knows of some good places that have some good compilations, please, post them. I would like to know. I'm sure other people would like to know. It's been very hard, particularly with me trying to get rid of some of my tapes. This is the one, that and Misawa Kawada matches have been very hard for me to find. Same thing with some old UWF stuff, but we won't go into that. Anyways, did you ever like WCW's World War III match? Do you think WWE should bring it back for like one night? I liked the concept until I saw it, and then it was horrible. No, never. It was far, far too hard to follow. Far too hard to follow. Might have been good live. I don't know if anyone's ever saw one live, but it might be good for a live event, but not for pay-per-view or anything like that. Hey Slayer, I have a question about Japanese wrestling. For those of us who don't know, how big are the companies compared to America? Are All Japan and New Japan like WWE or TNA, and No and Dragon Gate like ROH and NWA? I would just like to know how that works. Right now, it would be more like New Japan would be a little bigger than TNA. Noah would be about the same size. All Japan would be about the same size as ROH. Same thing with Dragon Gate. And there you go. That's all for today. Like I said, I will be trying to do more of these, so there we go. Hope y'all have a good one, and later, and bye.